Welcome to Chok Muay Chats, episode 53. On the road, we're here at the Novotel. I'm here with Nakia Wright, promoter, NTL, one of the Australia's premier Muay Thai promotions, one of the biggest Muay Thai promotions coming from Queensland. Marketing genius, has exploded on social media. We're here to talk about promoting and how to market yourself as a fighter and the importance of building a brand, which is very appropriate as on Tuesday you're going to be doing the building, protect your brand, make your brand workshop with the WBC Muay Thai as a part of the WBC Muay Thai convention here in Bangkok City. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming on.
This is cool. Yeah, it is the bit of the theme for the weekend is branding and marketing. So it's timed up well.
Well, it's certainly your expertise because, I mean, you've done a phenomenal job with building the name of MTL over the last couple of years. Consistent branding, consistent aesthetic, but not only that, consistent posting. And it was something that we were talking about, how important it is to be consistent with your branding, with your marketing. And I suppose the crux of the issue that we want to talk about is how to be consistent as a fighter, because I don't think a lot of fighters realize that right now building your personal brand is one of the most important things to getting opportunities in the world of Muay Thai and in the world of fighting. Because if you're not known, people are not going to put you on their shows. And yes, you can have all the skills in the world, but if you're not selling tickets, if you're not selling yourself, unfortunately, you're not going to get those roads to opportunities. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. It's just the nature of the game, whether we want it to be or not, whether you like social media or not, it's not going anywhere. And yeah, it's here to stay. So it's definitely the way forward.
Yeah, and I think it's, we're both Australian. We know what the culture's like. We know that, once people start to put themselves out there, there is a tendency for Aussies to have a little bit of tall poppy syndrome when people start putting themselves out there a little bit. And I think it's one of the obstacles that a lot of fighters are going to have to deal with is worrying about what other people think. And I think if I worried about what other people thought of me, I wouldn't be where I am right now. Working on RWS, commentating on some of the biggest shows in Thailand. I do the most shows out of anybody here at the moment. And it's just about turning up and not caring about what other people think. I think you just got to get over that. And it's hard because all of us are human.
Yep.
And people, especially in our sport, right? They talk a lot of shit.
Yeah.
But you just have to get beyond that, I reckon.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the hardest parts about it all. I think if you took that barrier away of not caring about what people thought about you, everybody would be online all the time doing much better things. But yeah, I mean, I've gone through this myself. Like as a fighter, one of my biggest challenges that I would, it would go up and down as my career went on. But one of the biggest things I struggled with was worrying about externals, worrying about what people thought, worrying about what my opponent was doing, worrying about if they looked like on social media, if they were training a certain way and everything that I couldn't control. And so I think it's super beneficial. The more fighters can quickly get on top of getting rid of that barrier and stop caring what people think and just be them and get themselves out there, then it's going to benefit them in their career as far as social media and promotion goes, but it will also benefit them in the ring, because the quicker that they can drop any of that, the more they can just perform to their best ability and not have to worry about the crowd, their opponent, their haters or whatever it is, and fight for them and fight for their trainer and fight for their team. So it's going to benefit them all around. And in life, like the more you can just get through life without caring about all the externals and doing what's like true to you, the better everyone is.
Yeah, it's a funny issue that, like fighters deal with, because they're brave enough to put themselves out there inside the ring and get hurt and pretty much put your life on the line. But when it's about a couple of people online thinking about, how they look on pads, or, might be making a silly, funny dance video, they get all worried about that.
I actually personally like would go through that for sure. And I used to say to people, a really weird thing was I naturally am not someone that wants a lot of attention on me. And I even as a promoter, I've gotten better with it because I've had to, because it's a business skill. But I'm not, at MTL 15, 2 shows ago, I had Malcolm, the WBC supervisor, turn around to me and go, "Can you please get up there and put the belt on Jono when he's about to win the fight, right? Or the winner," he said. Because he's like, "You never get up there. You never get up there, and you're never the one that put the belt on him." And I'm like, it's not about me, it's moments like that. Sometimes people stop and go, "Yeah, but you're the fucking promoter." Like sometimes, like you should have a bit of a moment, like you never do it. You always give it to other people. I let kids do it, whatever, and so it's, for me, naturally, I much prefer to be behind the scenes. I much prefer to be not on the camera and all of that. And I've had to learn that. So people now, because I'm a bit more used to it, think it comes naturally and think that, "Oh yeah, but you're good at it." That's absolutely not the case. Now, one thing when I was fighting, I noticed was I had this weird thing where walking out to a fight was the most at home I ever felt. And I was like, that was the one time, all eyes on me, and I would love it. I loved it. Everyone look at me. This is my moment. I'm walking out onto the stage, out to the ring, and everyone's looking at me, and I would feel really at home. And it was really, really odd thing, because then behind the scenes, I didn't want to look like an idiot on camera or do silly social media stuff. So I get that. And it's a weird, it is an odd thing, right? It's the complete opposites of each other, but I do understand why, how fighters can do that.
Yeah, it's a funny one, because I mean, we all suffer from that. I'm very much the same. I've had to learn this as I go, and put myself out there to kind of get yourself out there more. Naturally, I'm not a very confident person either, and I never was during school. And it was only through kind of Muay Thai that I built a little bit more self-confidence in myself, a bit more self-worth. And then, if it wasn't for guys like Matt Lucas who gave me the entry into the door, I sort of built that self-confidence, in my voice, and then being on screen a little bit more, having to put myself out there to get more gigs, it just the natural progression. And I think there's a lot of value in practice and consistency.
Yeah.
Just the more you do it, the better you'll get.
Yep.
And it's one of those things, as they say in art school, 10,000 hours of painting and you'll have your masterpiece. And it's the same with social media. The more you do it, the better you'll get. But it's just making that first post.
Yeah.
There's no better time to invest than right now. Don't wait later when you've got more money. Do it right now.
Yep.
And the pay dividends.
What's really funny too is you often think, if you're a decent person, yes, there's people out there that just look at other people's stuff and judge them and all that. I mean, the truth is that those people are probably either not really good humans, or they're pretty unhappy in themselves, and that's why they cast judgment and stuff onto others. But if you're a relatively good person and you're out there in the street and you see someone holding a camera up and talking to themselves, talking to the camera, or they're mucking around with their friends doing something silly, doing a dance in the street, you look at them and you go, look at them go, right? And you just get on with your life. You don't care. You don't judge. You don't go, "Oh, look at those idiots. Oh my God, what are they doing?" Like, this is just the world now. You go, "Oh, look at those girls over there doing a TikTok dance or whatever." Good on them, right? And you just move on with your life. You don't, nothing. Like, it's just, you've moved on. But then when we want to do something, like I used to be really bad for this, and I've noticed that it's being on this trip, because I'm by myself here walking around the streets.
Yep.
I've actually been filming a bit of a vlog as my trip goes on. And I used to be really I was like, "Oh, I don't want to get the camera out or my phone out and be talking to nobody. And then someone's going to walk past me and see me doing that, and I'm going to look like an idiot." But the truth is, none of that is true.
No.
And I would never do that to somebody else. I'd never judge somebody else like that. But then when you think it's about you, all of a sudden you think everyone's looking at you and judging you. The best thing to realize is that none of that's true. Everybody's so caught up in their own world and their own lives, and it's stuck inside their own heads. No one actually really cares about what you're doing or what anybody else is doing. And so you just have to live your life. And like you said, just do it. And then it gets easier and easier and easier. And then all of a sudden you just become good at it. And it's just a skill.
Now, going on from that, we've looked at like some of the issues, that some of the obstacles of, you know, building personality around yourself. Why is it important for fighters to build themselves and build a brand? Now, I mean, from a promoter's point of view, why is it so important now, especially as we live in an attention economy where everything's about, it's not all about clicks and views, but why is it important for fighters to build a brand for themselves?
I think, you know, Muay Thai is growing and it's really good to see it grow. But if you look at the day one OGs, diehard Muay Thai fans that just love the sport for the fighting, nothing else but the skill and the technique and the craft of fighting, that group is very small. And we can't just sell to that group anymore. And unfortunately, as times change and as entertainment change and promotions change, that group will probably start to shift away from it more than ever, because it's going to be different to what they've been used to. So what we need to do is think about selling to the people coming up. I think about it as promoting as like, I'm trying to gear my show towards entertaining the kids, because the kids are the future. So I'm not trying to keep my best mate, or I'm not sure, because they're going to support me, right? I'm not going to try to keep the attention of the old school diehard Muay Thai fan that absolutely respects every element of the culture. While I love that they're like that, I'm not trying to keep their attention for 4 hours in my show. I'm trying to keep the 15-year-old boy that's come. I'm trying to keep his attention, and I want him to go home and open his TikTok and want to relive the night. So we have to just accept that where the world is going if we want a future and we want it to grow. Now, with that, as far as personal brands go and fighters individually building up their brands, it's no longer about so much the craft of Muay Thai. It's about the personalities and the characters. And we watched UFC do this, right? They were the first ones in combat sports to really, really explode personal brands. Like your Ronda Rousey, your Cowboy Cerrone, your Conor McGregor. There are all these characters. We've got Volk in Australia, you know. Why do people love Volk? How many people love him because of how he fights technically versus the person he is? I know me, I mean, I'm not a diehard, and like I've followed UFC for a long time, but I don't understand all the technical pieces about wrestling and jiu-jitsu and all that. But boy, oh boy, do I love him as a character. And I'm a big fan of his, and I'll watch his fights because of who Volk is. You know, now you look at his, he's got his cooking thing, and they were sharing around some meme. People were like, oh, I didn't even know you're a fighter. I'll just following you because you're a cook, because he's exciting. He's a personality. And so this is just the way the world is now. And the more we can build personalities into these characters and these fighters, then it goes in the reverse. You fall in love with the person and the character, you follow them online, you follow their journey, they become your hero, you want to be like them. Then in turn, you want to buy tickets to watch their fight. Then you want to watch their clips. Then you want to follow their journey, ups and downs. And this is what I've seen with Lucy and Spainy. You know, we put a lot of effort into them. I kind of treated them as, they were like a bit of an experiment for me. But they were kind of my rod tang and my stamp, right? I've got Spainy and we've got Lucille. We put heaps of effort into them, and with their willingness to jump on board with us and do it with us. And we started to tell their story, started to push them out. And as humans, not just as fighters, we weren't just sharing fight clips. We're sharing their stories. We're getting them to talk, getting them to be themselves. Spainy has the most unreal fan base. It's amazing. When you go to a show, the kids line up. So many kids in my gym, Spainy is their hero. They just want it. They all wear his t-shirt and his shorts, and they just want to be like him, and they can't wait to see him. They want to get the trading card signed, and it's because of him as a person. Yeah, he fights really exciting and entertaining, but he's also lost on our show a few times. You know, he's also been stopped on our show, but it doesn't people just love him and ups and downs, the human part of him, the excitement of who he is. Like little boys just aspire to be like him. And I think that just goes to show why it's so important. It's like, it's the people that other people fall in love with.
Yeah, it really comes back to that, age-old thing of storytelling. Stories are something that have followed humankind since the dawn of time, and people really connect with narratives.
Yeah.
And storytelling is a really important part of being human and what makes us human, but it's one big missing part of the pie in terms of Muay Thai and Muay Thai media and branding that we haven't done so well, and that is building personalities, that is building narratives around fighters. And that's why it's really refreshing to see, like MTL really investing in storytelling about, like Lucille and Spaney, even Max McVicker, who's been on there a few times, Nong B, building up personalities around the sport is really important. Now, we do that at RWS as well around the title fights as well, especially with the commentary. We really try and push certain narratives, and it's a really important aspect of the sport of giving people something to connect to.
Yep.
Instead of just watching it for the sport. Like I used to love rugby. I used to love playing rugby, but I can't stand watching it. I just think it's just batshit boring to watch.
Yep.
But I connect with some of my favorite players. The personalities around the sport. Playing NRL as a kid. Some of the biggest names I really connect to and watching the footy show, but can't really sit there and watch a game. Just not my thing. But I love certain players, and I think that's a really important point you make about building personalities, building branding. And now it's more important than ever, especially as we live in this attention economy, to build your personal brand. So how do you think fighters can capitalize on this time right now about building a personal brand? Because promotions aren't going to do all the heavy lifting for you. That's a big part of this discussion that we're having. Is the onus is on the individual a lot of the time. You can't just be a fighter anymore. You're a product.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Muay Thai is business. Muay Thai is entertainment. Yes, it is a sport, but at the end of the day, it is three main things: entertainment, business, and sport. And you have to build yourself around those three facets. How do you think people can capitalize on this attention economy at the moment?
Yeah, you're right about the promoters not doing the heavy lifting. It's just not feasible.
No.
We're trying to match fights. We're trying to get sponsors. We're trying to put on the shows. We're also all every promoter in Australia, I believe, is a gym owner or a trainer in some sort, or has another full-time job. We have been fortunate where I did do the heavy lifting early on, and I just decided to make that decision for MTL, and it worked. But that's also because I have had the benefit of being creative, and I love marketing and branding, and I always have. So it's enjoyable for me, but that's just not the case for every other promoter in Australia. Like it's not possible. It's not as easy for them. Now, that said, I've done my part, and I will continue to do it with certain fighters who are willing to put the effort in. But if I come across fighters that are on my show and they're not doing their part, I'm not interested. I'm not going to do it all for them either. So it's few and far between now, the ones that we'll pick to do this with, and it's the ones that are willing to put the work in. So for people that want to start, want to be able to start building that brand, the first thing they need to do is just start posting. And this is what's funny is I've fallen into this trap before. I don't know what to post. Who's going to follow me? Who cares? I don't have value to offer the world. No one wants to hear what I've got to say. Who fucking cares? Like, you just got to go and you got to post, and you've got to post consistently. Not 2 days and then disappear for a week, or go hard for a month and then not do it at all the next month. Like as we know, the algorithm doesn't favor that. You have to use the platforms and you have to use them all the time. I myself, with my own personal brand, have come in and out of it because I get busy and I just don't want to do it. But I even too recently made the decision of like, I can't keep, I've got to just continue to push it because this is the nature of business now.
Yep.
And so, yeah, the biggest thing is dropping all the ego around, do I have something to say? Do I have an important message? Just post. Yep. Just do it. And if no one's watching, well, guess what? No one's watching anyway. So you just get better. Post, learn, get better and better and better. And by the time you've got a big enough audience that people are really paying attention, you'll probably be really good at it. So the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway from any of it is to put aside the worry and the overthinking and the ego and just go for it. Share who you are, be authentic, be yourself. You know, you might be funny, you might not be funny, you don't have to be. Like, you know, everyone's got completely different ways to go about it. You know, Bryony's a really good example. Yep. When you look at her, you know, I did a podcast with her and she's always been, she's quite out there. She's very passionate and she knows she can be too much for people. Like she's not everyone's cup of tea, but she's herself. And the more she's stayed, I know when I first come across her, I was a bit like, whoa, okay, this she is really passionate. She's got a lot to say. And then over time, the more and more I saw of her, the more I was just like, she's really herself. And I really respect that. So everyone's just kind of got to, the biggest thing is they've just got to be themselves, not compare with anyone else, not try to match anyone else, just go for it, be who you are, and you just get better with time.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point that you make, is not comparing yourself to other people. Comparison is the thief of joy, as they say. And, you know, you can get lost in the algorithm a little bit, trying to overthink, you know, how to hack the algorithm, get more likes. If you get stuck in that rut, you can just kind of, it's actually not good for your mental health.
Yeah.
One, because you're just trying to do it for the dopamine fix.
Yep.
Whereas if you do it to be consistent and because you're trying to do it to build your personal brand, the consistency will reward you. It's not going to be overnight. Sometimes I make sure that I post at least once a day. Doesn't matter what it is. Like if people look at my Instagram, like sometimes I'll have like a motivational quote about the sport. Sometimes I'll do a reel about like back-end industry stuff. Sometimes it'll be just a short from like an upcoming episode of this super hit podcast that we're on right now. But, you know, it's just remaining consistent. And, okay, some posts will get 30 likes. Some posts will get 2,000 likes.
Yeah.
But I don't do it for that. It's just about being consistent and making sure that you're in the space and you're providing value. And whether it's 30 people on one day you're providing a new insight to the sport, or 2,000, it doesn't matter, because you're still changing somebody's perspective on something. And also from a fighter's perspective, that's 30 more people that know you than before.
Yeah.
And if sometimes all of us have something that takes off where you might have 2,000 likes, that's 2,000 more people who know you now.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny, actually. I think one thing about the algorithm that people don't realize now is that follows don't matter.
Yeah.
Like you get fed reels and things in your feed that aren't from people you follow anymore. So you can get caught in that like ego trap a little bit of how many followers you have, and it's actually irrelevant. With MTL, we started posting. The best decision I made was a couple of years ago. We just went minimum 3 times a day.
Yep.
Leading up to a campaign 5 to 7 times a day.
Yep.
So, and it was a lot. And same thing as what you're saying. Some of them were just complete duds. Some of them now still just don't get traction. But it's just about being consistent.
Yep.
And the ones that have gone viral, they make no sense to me. One of them, a first one that went viral actually on Facebook, of all things, when everyone said Facebook was dead, took us from 5,000 follows to 30,000, one reel.
Wow.
It was Spaney out the back in the back room hitting pads. It was nothing impressive, I don't understand why it went viral. Most of the comments were people talking about his mullet and tattoos, but it got us huge traction. And then we had one of Gabrielle, and this was pre-Gabrielle being the influencer that she is now. And it was her just pulling funny faces. Like nothing actually makes sense to us as to what goes viral and what doesn't. So if we were chasing the algorithm or chasing the hack, we would just be spinning our circles and then probably get paralyzed and not actually do anything. So if we don't think and we just go, just share content. All that really matters is that it comes back to our own values. So for example, we won't share any content where it's zoomed in or it's like really slow mode down on somebody getting knocked out. So our team, we've all just sort of decided on where we draw the line, what we would show and what we wouldn't show. And apart from that, we just post and don't overthink it because otherwise you just spin in a circle. And then, man, you think you get a hold of what's going on in the world and then the platforms change the rules. So another thing that I learned was watching, investing more time into my own personal page is that when I first started posting more often, and a lot of it was like, if I post something really positive, I would have an immediate increase in unfollows. So if I fell into that trap of, worrying about what people thought of me, then I'd see that I was putting more out there into the world and then I'm losing followers. But I know what's happening and I'm losing followers that don't want to hear what I have to say. And if it's positive, they're probably really negative people I don't want on my page. But now that I've been doing it consistently, now I'm seeing an increase in new follows. And that trajectory is changing and I'm getting more people reach out to me to say, hey, I really liked this content or I'm really glad you said this. And it's positive. But, if in reality, if I had followed that or worried about that when I first started posting and watched the follows drop, then that would have been enough to deter me and stop me from doing it. So yeah, you can't listen to that. You just got to keep going.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. If I worried about, all that stuff, I wouldn't be posting anymore. And, as you said, your brand MTL posts, 3 times a day and then obviously lead up to the campaign 5 to 7. I was posting twice a day when I was at about 5,000 to 6,000 followers. And then I just decided I haven't got time. I've got a full-time job. I've got all these other side missions that I'm doing with, content, constant. I barely get any time for myself or even my wife. She gets the shits with me because I barely got time with her. And everybody says, oh, how do you get time to do it? And I said, oh, well, I just make the commitment. It's like going to the gym. It's a non-negotiable. I've made that a non-negotiable now after 5 years of abusing my body. But, it's got to be a non-negotiable with building a personal brand. I think comfortably now, I think I can say I've got a fairly recognizable personal brand. Like, it's really weird. I struggle with this is people at RWS will come up to me and say, oh, Joe Comerford. I'm like, oh man, don't do this. I'm not a celebrity. I want to get a photo with you. I'm like, what? No, I'm not. Like, I'm just a dude, I'm just a dude. But it's really humbling to think that, people care about things you've got to say. But it also comes from consistency, just doing it every day. Now, looking at values are a really important part of this whole discussion around building a personal brand, having strong values and sticking to them. And I think that's a thing that both you and I can actually really speak on because we stick to our values when we post about them.
Yeah.
For me, part of my values is making sure that fighters get better opportunities, better pay, and putting them in a better career trajectory than what I had as a fighter. And it wasn't because of any fault of my own. So I tell people, look, shouldn't cut fight this way, probably shouldn't drink alcohol, as a fighter, as somebody who's, you know, over the years struggled with alcohol, and I'm open about that. But these are values that I try and instill in my message is like, if you're going to fight, you need to take it seriously. And I think that's, you know, part of my values that have stuck through my brand. Not only that, is helping fighters get exposure. The opportunities that I didn't have as a fighter, now I can at least give that back to people.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important thing, is about sticking to your values. Values matter when building a brand.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I actually open on Tuesday talking about that is
Yep.
the first thing, because I'm so surprised that even business owners, how many have never established what their business values are. And for me, it is everything. Every decision I make comes back to that. And if I ever get caught up in shiny objects or can get comparing myself with what other people's are doing, like, it's just the way to bring myself back to go, hang on a second, are you meeting these? Because if you're not, just don't do it. And I think for individuals, it's a little bit harder for them to establish what their values are. But you need to figure out what matters to you and what's important to you. Where do you stand with championship fights? Do you want to fight for belts to collect belts and put them on the wall, or figure out whether you only want to collect certain belts and when they matter? I as a fighter was very, very adamant. I have one belt. Now, and I turned ones away. I didn't want to fight for belts that didn't mean anything, and they had to mean something to me. So I had to feel like I got offered them after a loss, and we would say no. We do it with our guys now because we stand very strong with that. If a fighter has just lost, we don't believe their next fight should be a championship fight. Yep. So, and that's not for everybody. I see people all the time feel very differently. They just want to collect them, put them on the wall, whatever. And if that's your thing, that's totally fine. But you have to figure out what's important to you, and what, at the end of the day, I always say is, how are you going to sleep at night? Knowing what you stand for. So when a fighter is deciding what message they want to put out there into the world, do they want to get on there and rant and complain and make a scene? And they'll get probably a lot of like rage bait like attention. And if you're cool with that, because that's who you are and you're really outspoken and you've got big opinions, go for it. If that's your brand and that's where you stand, go nuts. If you want to be someone known for really only putting positivity out into the world, then gear your content towards that, if that's what you want to do. You don't have to feel like you're an expert in a field. So if it's not about putting out education and expert advice, don't do that. Like, if that's not your jam and you don't feel like you're an expert in any area, then don't do that. If you want to put out fun content and entertain people or inspire people or just enjoy it, then do that. But everything has to come back to, like, what's important to you, what decisions are you going to make, and you have to stand by them. On that front also, though, you have to accept that you age and you get wiser as you age and you change. Some opinions that I had 10 years ago, I don't have anymore, especially as I've learnt more about the sport, especially as I've become a promoter. I see things from different angles now. Yep. So there's some things that I believe in that I maybe didn't once believe in. And that's cool too, as long as you're, I think, like, transparent and open and honest about if your opinions change over time.
Absolutely. You know, and I 100% agree with that. Is, you know, this is a messy world and we're all trying to learn and find our way through it. And it's not just a Muay Thai thing, it's a life thing. You know, you're always constantly trying to find out who you are and where you belong. And part of that growth process in building a brand is learning who you are. And yes, some of your presuppositions about the world are going to be challenged. You know, there are people who I respect and who gave me my start in this space who have very, very strong opinions about certain things in the sport that I totally disagree with.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But also I can see the value in why they might think that, but it's not the way I think. And then later on, my beliefs have been challenged because of certain things that I've learned over the time. And people need to realize that as well, that, you know, it's a constant journey of learning, challenging yourself, challenging your own belief system and values as well. Values can change over time as well, drastically as well, you know.
Yeah, I think that's like such the beauty in the world, right? Is that you can, and we come across this, if you can do it respectfully, we come across it in the sport so often. I've got a lot of people I talk to that we've had back and forth, like intense discussions, respectfully, but just being on the other side, especially being in Queensland, I feel like I'm often fighting for Queensland's right to Muay Thai. So I've had some like intense DMs back and forward with other opinionated people, saying Queensland's this or that, and then me being the voice for like, no, we're trying, we're doing the, and so, but some of the best relationships I've built in the sport have been from those conversations, and I've gotten to know Max really well, and a lot of conversations that I had with Max early on were back and forward of us not seeing eye to eye on things, but respectfully being able to go back and forward and me understand his knowledge, and he's such a bucket of knowledge in the sport, being around it forever, and I've learnt so much from him, and then I've voiced my opinions about things, and I know he's learnt from me too, and we've come to this really cool place where and there's still things we disagree on, but it's cool, and yeah, I don't think you just got to not get hurt over stuff like that, and respect that everyone has different ways of doing things. And
I think that's a big part of it, is just, disassociating from your own ego in this space as well, and it's hard because we're all human. We all have egos, and that's a part of being human. But coming down to, posting and building this brand, you have to kind of disassociate yourself from your ego and be willing to learn and have discussions. And also, a big part of this is collaborating, learning. It's not all about competition. Yes, it's healthy to have competition, but also learning to collaborate with people.
Yeah.
I think that is a really, really big way of boosting your own opportunities, is by collaborating. And I don't want to use the word networking, because I feel networking is such an official term that, people just think about. It's all about money and money driven, but collaborating with others, working together to build your own opportunities, but also theirs as well. Because if it weren't for collaborating with people, I wouldn't be sitting here talking with you.
Yeah.
Right. And the same with MTL, collaborating with other people, you don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can learn from other people who have different skill set. Like, talking about, Max has such a wealth of knowledge about the sport that you and I will never have, because he's lived at the world, he's fought at the world level, and fighting at that level teaches you things that nobody can experience unless you fight at that level. And there's certain aspects of, like, I suppose, like matchmaking and understanding different fighters that you can only get through living that experience, and you can always learn different things from different people,
Yeah.
So I think that's a really big part of it.
Yeah, I think collaboration is so important, and I love the saying, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? So it's like, if my goal has always been with MTL is to raise the standard of Muay Thai, particularly in Queensland, and we've done that, and it's getting better. And some people have had to raise the standard out of competition, because if they don't, they were going to be in trouble. And so that's one way of going about it. But some people have looked at us and gone, I really like what you're doing, I'm going to try to do some of that too. And taken it as a positive, as in a way to raise their level as well. Just because they've seen, oh, well, this obviously works, people enjoy it, people want more of it, so look, we should do that too. And if I looked at all of that in a negative sense and was worried about competition and had this scarcity mindset, you just send yourself miserable. But the way I see it is, like, the more the sport grows, the more everybody lifts up together, the better everyone is. There's going to be plenty of fights for everybody. There's plenty of fighters for everybody. The bigger it gets, the better. The more participation, the better. And yeah, some of the sport's still not financially great, right? We've got a long way to go. Fighters need to get paid more. Promoters aren't making money. There's no, we're now seeing gyms do well, which is, I think that's the first element. The participation is high, and we're seeing a lot of gyms actually have really good viable businesses now, and that's really positive. And eventually we need that to bleed into the rest of the elements, the competition side of the sport. But yeah, all of that comes with working together with people and us helping each other out and acting like a good community. We can all still compete. We can all still push each other to get better. But yeah, it's working together is definitely the way forward of doing it.
I remember a mutual friend of ours said this, and I won't mention their name on the podcast, but they work heavily in the space with boxing and Muay Thai. And they said that there's a big difference between boxing and Muay Thai is the fact that the boxing industry has a huge pie and everyone eats from the same pie and everybody's sharing parts of that pie together. The issue with Muay Thai is that there's a pie, but everybody's fighting over the scraps of the pie because the pie might be smaller, but nobody's willing to give up their slice of the pie in return of building a bigger pie. And I think that's one of the biggest obstacles our sport is seeing internationally is people not willing to work together and collaborating with each other. And I think people really need to realize that if you want a sport to grow, and that's one of my biggest messages is working together. I just want to see everyone win, because if we all work together and the sport wins, we all win.
Yeah.
Whether it's monetary gain, whether it's emotional gain, spiritual gain, whatever it is, we all win if the sport gets bigger. And people need to realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that's it's a really good message, and there is a good large group of people out there trying to do that. And I think it's one of the biggest tasks, but yeah, we can get there.
Now, with MTL, if you look at the progression over the years, you got really strong branding, not just in terms of like the values that you hold of, building narratives and building personalities. One of the things that I like is consistent aesthetic. Like I come from an art and design background, and I like the kind of collegiate basketball / American sports theme that you've got going on. I think that's awesome. How important do you feel is it for promoters to have a strong design team? Because I think this is one thing that people don't really think about is the impact of visuals for brands. What do you think? What do you think about that idea?
Yeah, I think it plays a big role. Like I said earlier, I'm really fortunate that I love that, that world. Yeah. So it's been a good little benefit for me. But from day one, I mean, I learnt Muay Thai originally in America. So no one does sports culture better than Americans.
Yeah.
So I was just like, when we even developed like Muay Thai League, I wanted it to feel global. And then that's why we called it Muay Thai League, because it felt like a global thing. And then obviously we drew from baseball and I bring in American sports sort of references throughout that. So that kind of like helped us sort of establish where the brand was going forward. And then just investing in good graphic designers for the posters. That's something that people always come back to us, particularly the fighters are like, oh, I love the posters that they get. They're for a lifetime. That's their memories for a lifetime, So investing in someone good for that. The biggest thing is also being mindful of who you get your advice from. So if I'm looking for guidance in anything creatively, I don't go and talk to another Muay Thai person because it's going to don't go and ask advice from somebody that's probably not has the skill set to give you advice in that field.
Yeah.
Or don't go and get advice from someone who you know is just probably going to tell you all the things that you want to hear and tell you like, good job. So if I want to get feedback on a poster and I'm looking at it going, oh, I'm not sure, I'm not going to send it to my mate or to someone in my gym that's going to be like, yeah, it looks awesome. It's like they're not going to tell me, no, I don't like this, So
otherwise, you'll end up with just heaps of explosions and
fire.
And suck yarn everywhere.
Yeah. There's I guess what I did was like in the business in general, I've built kind of like my own little mini advisory group, and they are people that I go to if I'm having like specific promoter things, you know, like negotiating purses or political issues that I've not dealt with before. I go to Sai. Because he's done it all, he's been around, his values are really in check too. Like he's got similar morals as far as like looking after the sport and looking after fighters. So, and he's been an open book, he's been very, very good to me, and he doesn't hide things and keep things secret and stuff. If I've got a genuine question, he'll give me some genuine, honest advice. If I have some, like if it's another business aspect that's not specific to Muay Thai, then I've got people that I've just built in my like inner circle that I can go to and say, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And I don't really talk to Muay Thai people about my business because they're not the right people. It's the same thing as where I draw inspiration from. I don't draw inspiration from any other Muay Thai promotion. Even one and other, like I love RWS, mind you, the ADD.
So you should.
Yeah, the entertainment, the LED screens, the shadow box cam, the dancing, all that. That I love because it's the same thing. It feels very American, right? The Jumbotron thing, the popcorn, all of that, that's very American. But I pull that from American sports. The media stuff, I've looked at the UFC, how they've done with the characters. And I look at other sports, sometimes business-wise and marketing-wise, posters in particular. I draw from Matchroom a lot.
Yep.
So it's like I never look at the local scene. I never look at the Muay Thai scene. It's just everything we do and everything everyone does is somewhat of a replica of someone else, right? Very, very little is our ideas original anymore.
Yeah.
Even if we make it 80% original, 20% of it came from inspiration from somewhere else. And I just learnt very early on to pull that inspiration from the right people and the right industries that are not ours, that are not Muay Thai. So then I'm not just copying the poster that I saw last week from the local Muay Thai show and then using that. Like everyone says to me, oh, like your stuff's so unique, you're original, and like it feels like you're always ahead of the game. And it's like, no. I'm behind the game on American sports.
Yeah.
I'm just ahead of the game for Australian Muay Thai. Like it's. Or I look at I talk to my 11-year-old son. What are the kids doing? What's he watching on YouTube? What are the gamers doing? Like because I'm all about what's coming. I want to build these fans that are like younger now, so they're with me when they're all 18. And so I'm always looking at. Like it's just all about drawing inspiration and talking to people that are doing things better than you and bigger than you. And just definitely not on the local scene at all.
Absolutely, yeah. I really love that thought because there's no better way to get better than drawing inspiration from somebody who's doing it bigger, better, stronger. And as you said, American sports. Imagine if Muay Thai could tap into that market.
Yeah.
And I think there are certainly like promotions in America that are starting to crack it a little bit, like Coalition, Muay Thai seems to be doing pretty well over there. I've got a few buddies, in the WBC who are doing big things over there in America, and it's starting to gain momentum. And imagine, if we crack into that sports culture that America has.
Yeah.
Everyone wins. Imagine if we were doing massive cross promotions, like MTL would be doing cross promotions in America.
Yeah.
We could have America versus Australia.
Yep.
And then go into Rajadam and it'd be sick.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting all these ideas.
Yeah. That's one of our like main goals is actually to take MTL to Vegas.
Yep.
I feel like I was living in the States in this like little awesome Muay Thai bubble. I'm so fortunate that the years that I was there was the rise of Joe Schilling and the rise of Tiffany Van Soos and Kevin Ross. Yep. When Kevin fought Sanchai, I was ringside with my camera.
Oh, cool.
Like I'm so grateful that it changed the trajectory of my life because I happened to be there in those years. But it's there's a nostalgic special thing for me with Vegas because we would drive to Vegas all the time for these big shows. And so I want to do an MTL in Vegas. That'll happen eventually.
I think it will. I mean, it seems to be on the right trajectory at the moment in terms of branding, you know, building a name for yourself. You know, unfortunately I haven't been able to get back over to Australia for a while, but one day, you know, hopefully I can get there and get a seat and watch the show.
Yeah.
Now, I suppose you've got the build your brand workshop on Tuesday. What are some of the things that people who may not be going, if you could just give like maybe 5 pieces of advice to fighters that can't make it there, or even gyms or promoters who can't be there, 5 maybe short things that they could do to make their position a little bit better in Muay Thai?
So I'm talking on behalf of a promoter, and then we've got someone talking on behalf of gyms, and then fighters as well, and then like an equipment brand as well.
Yep.
So it's cool because we're going to have, you know, a few different perspectives from different avenues. So some of the things that we've talked about already today actually is similar to what I'm going to be covering, which is having the values, doing the content, not underestimating how often you've got to do content and how long you've got to be consistent for. I think too, like actually on that topic, like how long do you think you were posting consistently before you felt like you got traction?
Would have been a year, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good takeaway, and that's one of the points that I'm going to be making on Tuesday is we made the decision to post 3 times a day with MTL, and I feel like, and that was 2-3 years ago, and I feel like this year is the year that people have noticed. So it's like, I'm sure people were noticing, but this year is the year where I guess the saying is like, I'm getting my flowers. Like now people are coming to me and saying, you guys are doing really good. You're doing this. I'm noticing this. And I'm like, we've been doing this for three years now, I think, two or 3 years, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the number one thing I think for fighters to take away from is 1, get posting and just do it. Be yourself. Go for it. Fuck everyone else. Don't worry what everyone thinks. Just do it. 2 is when you've got a fight coming up, do all the things that are, even if you've got 200 followers, put the link to the tickets on your profile so that when people click on your bio, they can find the like next fight. Gabrielle used to do this early on, and I had Gabrielle on a few of MTLs. I think her first win was on our MTL 1, so like as an amateur, before she pre-Gabrielle influencer. But you know what she did well was like, my next fight is MTL, blah, 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 whatever, the date is, here's a link to the tickets. And she's from Canberra. She's not going to sell tickets to our show anyway. So, but it's things like that. I would notice that. And I wasn't booking her on the show because she was Gabrielle the influencer, because she wasn't then. But that stuff I looked at and I'm like, that's smart. Like it's appreciated as a promoter. So if you're got a fight coming up and a promoter has put you on, at least return the favor by putting the link on the thing, sharing a couple of clips of you training or you falling on your face being swept by your coach or your teammates. Like, have fun with it. Just post stuff, you know, and say like, my fight's coming up. Ask people to buy tickets. This is an interesting thing about sales, and I've learnt this with sponsors. I've learnt this with corporate table sales. If you don't ask, people won't buy.
Yeah.
This goes for the same in gym membership sales. I can't believe people come in for a trial at your gym, do a trial class, stand around after the class. You actually need to say, would you like to sign up? And then they go, oh yeah. A lot of people don't turn around and go, I'd like to sign up now. They wait for you to ask. So fighters need to realize this, that if you want people to buy tickets, don't just assume that they'll come to you if they want to buy tickets. Go to your mates. Go to people you know and say, hey, I've got this fight coming up next month. I love having support there. Would you like to buy a ticket? Do you want to come and watch me fight? I'd love it if you were there. And say it to people, whether it's through DMs or in person, but say it to them, not a post. You know, posts are good, but don't go on your Facebook and go, hey, my fight's coming up. Let me know if you want to buy tickets. That doesn't work. Reach out to people one-on-one and say, would you like this? I sell more tables for MTL now than most of my fighters do personally, because people that I know that don't even know Muay Thai, I just meet them along the way and I think, what's the harm? hey, I've got a show coming up. We sell corporate tables. Might be something you're interested in. Would you like to buy one? Here's the details. I think you'll really love it. Muay Thai is really fun. I promise. I know that they're going to be entertained, right? They're going to have a good night. Would you like to come and buy a table? I'm so shocked at the amount of people that go, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, I'll buy one. And then I'm like, what the fuck have I been doing all these years? Like, I've just never, because I didn't want to ask. No, if they want to come, they'll tell me. Like, no, I don't want to inconvenience. I just say it. What do they? Or they go, no, sorry, I'm busy that day. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Hit me up about the next one.
You got nothing to lose, right?
You got nothing to lose. Like, I'm just asking people if they don't have to come. I'm not pressuring them. Same with sponsors. Like, you're talking to someone loves it. They've got a brand. They're like, oh yeah, I love what you're doing here. I'm like, you know that we do sponsorships. Would you like to consider sponsoring? You don't have to be a dick about it. They can just say no, you know? And so with fighters, they've got to remember, like, it just asking people, you'd probably be surprised how many people just say yes and buy a $50 ticket or an $80 ticket to your fight. So posting, putting your details on your bios, asking people to buy tickets, and what else? Yeah, just going for it. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Is if people can just start there and do that, then they can build their career, they can build their profile, and over time they'll learn what their brand is, you know. And a fighter to pay attention to, I think it's really interesting, is Caleb Curley. He took that 4-man on last minute. And I wasn't actually aware of what he was doing, and everyone kept telling me. I was aware of him as a fighter. He's a good fighter. People were like, they were so excited that and I was like a bit unsure. Ramesh, high level fighter, probably everyone's really thinking he's the man to win the 4-man. And then a week out to lose him. And then I'm like, okay, I knew Caleb was going to be willing to step in, but I wasn't sure how the public perception was going to be. Like, oh, we thought Ramesh was going to win. So many people were like, I love this kid. He's so entertaining. Have you seen what he's doing? He was doing taking leg kicks every day until he got a fight. But like just something unique like that. And now he's continued on. He's doing all this cool content, and but what he's done is he's figured out like his little brand. And that would have just come from practice and him doing it over and over again. And now he's established, like, he's got this inspector character that he plays. Like, so I think it's like, that's a good example of just, you figure out where you fall into it. You know, what's your character like? I've learned that for me, what works and what feels right to me is just being opinionated and open, which I've always been with people behind the scenes. Now I'm just doing it more publicly. Opinionated about where I think the sport's going, what I think the sport needs, talking about it from my promoter's perspective. I'm just doing what I was doing behind closed doors, and now I'm just doing it in front of a camera. So, you know, but people will just figure out what works for them and where they fit in it all. So I think if fighters can do that, then they're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's a crash course in self-marketing and business 101. You can't buy that in books. So, yeah, no, I think that's all, you know, really valuable advice. And, you know, it's the drum we've been beating for the last couple of years. I mean, you know, especially guys like Matt Lucas have been saying that for the longest time. And, you know, you see like some of the fighters he's worked with, he's put fighters on one, you know, he's put fighters in big promotions in the US. So, you know, it really makes a difference if fighters start investing in themselves a little bit more, not just the athletic side of it. You know, you can do all the strength and conditioning and all the technical work, but you actually have to invest in your character a little bit more. Because at the end of the day, you are a product.
Yeah.
You are a product of entertainment and business, and you have to be willing to invest in yourself a little bit more and, you know, take the time. It doesn't mean, you know, spending hours editing videos, doing all that.
The stuff that works is the unedited stuff.
Exactly.
And that is the beauty of it, is like, you don't have to have fancy camera and all this stuff now. Just record and go. That's
all you need. Yeah. The thing that you carry in your pocket.
If you're real fancy, I mean, you can get a mic. They're like $50 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you're really fancy, but
yeah, if you're really fancy, but you know, it doesn't take too much. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank you for your time. Thanks for coming on the
thank you for
podcast. It
coming
was
out.
really good to pick your brain on some of these issues. You know, you and I were back and forth a little bit about where can people find you online?
My own stuff is at Nakia Wright _. Some reason there was another Nakia Wright out there that got the handle before me. And then obviously at MTL Oz AUS, MTL AUS is all of our handles for everything else. So find all our promotional content there.
If you're into Muay Thai, definitely go check out Muay Thai League on YouTube. Some cracker fights on there. Go check out the Instagram page as well, Muay Thai League. Fantastic model of branding. And just saying, if you're a promoter in Australia and overseas, I think you can learn a lot from looking at MTL as a case study on how to run a promotion. You know, talking to some friends of ours, they said they love fighting on the promotion. It's one of the most organised promotions that they've ever fought on. And that's a big thing for a fighter, right? You know, having an organised promoter, that takes all the stress out of it.
Yep.
And I think that's a really important thing to hear for people like myself who help fighters get into promotions.
Yep.
You know, knowing that they're in safe hands.
Yep.
And that nothing will go wrong. I mean, things do go wrong, but, you know, having fighters in safe hands is a really important thing.
Yep.
In the industry. So go and check that out. Go and check out Nakia on Instagram as well. This is Chok Muay Chats episode 53. Please like, share, subscribe. YouTube, Spotify should be up this evening, I do believe. So thank you very much.